wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the All Cardinals podcast. I am joined every week by my main man, Richie Bradshaw. I am Donnie Druin. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode. Before you get into the nitty gritty, go ahead and comment, like, subscribe on this video and on this channel in general. We've gained a bunch of support through the NFL draft process, and we really do appreciate it. Only bigger and better things to come. Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter or X at Donnie Druin. Richie, today we have two topics of discussion. Both are kind of different. I'm excited to dive into both. Before I ask you how you were doing, I'm apparently all pink today. I'm feeling
Love
pretty
all
good. How
pink.
are you? How are you?
I am good. You're all pink. I'm all maroon.
Forks up. Plug for the Locked On Sun Devils, by the way.
Every single time, baby.
At your team every day, Locked On Sun Devils. Go ahead. Subscribe to LO_Sun Devils wherever you can find them. Richie, today it is not official quite yet as we are recording. I think by the time this episode is up on YouTube, it'll be around the official deadline for NFL teams to either decline or accept the fifth-year option for 2021 first-round picks, which includes Arizona Cardinals linebacker Zaven Collins. General manager Monty Austin went on 98.7's Burns and Gambo earlier this week and basically told them, hey, we're not going to be picking up Zaven Collins' fifth-year option, which means a couple different things. We'll have the graphic right here. So with his option being declined, Zaven Collins will become a free agent after this season, 2024. If they would have picked up his fifth-year option, Richie, he would have made $13.2 million in 2025. And then ESPN's Josh Weinfels reported that if Collins had made a Pro Bowl in 2024, that number would have skyrocketed to about $20 million. Before we get into the financials of this, how do you feel about this? I feel like it's the right move.
Yeah, it's not a surprise, Donnie. He just hasn't been nearly as productive as what the team had hoped he would do. And you also got to factor in that this is not the same front office and regime that invested the first round pick into him. So it's just unfortunate. It's part of the business that is the NFL. Like, this is very much expected. It would have been very expensive to give him that fifth-year option. And it's important to remember that that's fully guaranteed for that fifth-year option. Like, you are giving him that $13.2 million, which you could be allocating somewhere else, whether it's someone that you want to get an extension done with, or if there's a key free agent on the market that you would like to bring in. $13.2 million is quite a bit of cash. So
yeah,
not a surprise. And they've even kind of experimented with him, putting him out at edge last year and not getting the production that they wanted to get out of him. So I think that they've done everything they can to see if he can be productive for this team. But, the time has certainly come. The writing is on the wall. Who knows? Maybe he could break out this year and price himself out of Arizona, and that wouldn't be a bad thing because you get a
the good old
compensatory
Hassan
pick.
Reddick.
Yeah. I mean, that hopefully the difference is they don't get too cute with Zaven Collins, which you could argue they have, but even then he still hasn't been overly great. Whereas with Hassan, it was like, hey, this dude should always have been a pass rusher. But
yeah, I think we'll have the same sentiments if and when Zaven does decide to leave. I want to be very clear. The Arizona Cardinals love Zaven Collins as a football player. We just talked to defensive coordinator Nick Rallis yesterday, and he was raving about Collins's his IQ, his size, his speed, his strength, basically everything physical you can love about a football player. Zaven Collins has. So for those who are unaware, he entered the league as an inside linebacker. Definitely struggled his rookie season. I think struggled might be putting it lightly. I thought he had a very nice bounce back sophomore campaign. Didn't help Isaiah Simmons was next to him. I'm not going to get into that bag of cashews, but moving into 2023, the team had gotten Kaiser White, and it's like, okay, Kaiser White, Zaven Collins coming off of a pretty strong second season. We can roll with this. And I think it was never clear why they decided to move him to edge, Richie. I think it was almost out of necessity because that room was a little dry before Collins got there. And last year he struggled, and I don't think it was fair for anybody to expect Zaven to turn into TJ Watt, going from inside linebacker to outside linebacker. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're a little bit more delved into the draft process than I am and was. Collins, was there talk of him being an edge whenever he first came out, or no?
Honestly, Donnie, it was so long ago, I don't even remember what the big conversation was with him coming out of Tulsa. I do know that he was supposed to be kind of a flexible option for the Cardinals at linebacker, and kind of in that same mold that they had Isaiah Simmons with. And
Mhm.
the idea in theory was you were going to have two guys that could do a little bit of everything for you and be good cover guys and be good pass rushers and strong tacklers and everything. And it didn't really materialize for either of them. So a failed experiment, unfortunately. But they they definitely wanted him to be kind of that anchor on the defense next to Isaiah Simmons. And in theory, when you have two strong linebackers commanding your defense, you're going to have a pretty damn good defense. But
Yep.
it just didn't turn out the way they wanted it to.
And I think that's the hope with Kaiser being healthy and then Mac Wilson being added through free agency as
Yep.
well, who is also going to be a versatile piece. Whenever we talked to Rallis, he said Mac Wilson's going to do probably a little bit of everything for them. So I'm excited to see how they use Mac, the new addition to the desert. But bring this back to Collins. Like I said, they love Zaven Collins. They don't love him for 13.2 million. I am sure if he shows progress, jumping from year one to year two as an edge rusher, they'd love to sit down at the table with him and try to bring him back. But you look at the other people in the edge rush room. I mean, it's Dennis Gardeck, it's BJ Ojolari, it's Xavier Thomas, the 5th round pick they added from Clemson, who, by the way, not to get off on a little tangent, but like I'm starting to think that was a pretty decent steal. The more the days come for where he landed. There's a lot on the line for Collins moving to this year, not only to show improvement, but like financially too, because like we alluded to, Collins can have himself a pretty big step up in production this year. Now that he has a full off season of playing experience as an edge rusher, maybe a little bit more time to craft some moves, maybe craft some counters, work on his hand placement a little bit. I also do want to bring up, because I do have the snippet on the screen from our article on it, Collins was not a great pass rusher. The numbers show that, but he was very, very good in run support, and especially backside run support. And I don't think that should get lost. Now, obviously, you're not going to pay an edge rusher just to help out in the run. The name of the game when you're getting after the quarterback is to get sacks and hurries and pass deflections and all that good stuff. But I don't think he's as completely useless as some might point him to be.
Oh no, not at all. He definitely has his his uses. Like he's
Yeah.
not a bad football player. He just hasn't been the fit for this defense that they were hoping to. And it's also worth noting that he is going to be playing in two different defenses. Obviously, with the new regime, there's going to be
Mhm.
some wrinkles to moving over, especially when he goes from the position that he was used to in linebacker and plays more on the edge. Like he I would almost tell you that last season he was set up to fail and he
I would
could
agree.
bounce back this year. Yeah,
I would agree.
but it's it's going to be stout competition too, because you do have Kaiser White and you do have Mac Wilson. This is not a situation that Zaven Collins is going to waltz into. He's going to have to work really hard to be able to prove himself on the field. And as you and I, Donnie, both know, and we've seen timeless amounts of time for all 32 teams, guys always seem to break out in their fourth year when their future is on the line. So maybe Zaven Collins ends up having a big time breakout year for the Cardinals and just prices himself out of the team. But odds are stacked against him for sure. This is still a quality football player. Like
100%.
it's not like he doesn't have talent. There's a reason he was a first round pick for or there's a there yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I think if it were up to me, now granted, those guys in the facility, so much more football than I can ever hope to learn and dream of. I personally would have kept him at inside linebacker. I do think Zaven Collins is a better inside linebacker than he is an outside linebacker, but I think the Cardinals put themselves in a good position by declining the 5th-year option, because either A, he doesn't pan out and you save yourself some money, or B, which I think is kind of the good alternative Arizona wants to have. It's a good problem. Zaven Collins has a great year on the edge, and it's like, okay, well, now we know he can do it. Let's talk. Let's talk money. But we'll cross that bridge whenever we get there. But it looks like Zaven Collins, as of now, could be a free agent heading to 2024. Moving on to somebody who just got here, there's been a lot of talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. and what number he will wear. Rightfully so, because Richie, I mean, dude, we've been in the Valley. You've been here your whole life. I've been here since 2012. I don't think I recall any more excitement. And this includes Kyler Murray. Any more excitement and buzz generated around the Valley than Marvin Harrison Jr. landing here. I literally cannot recall a better time.
No, I can't either. In my time of paying attention to the draft, at least, I know that Patrick Peterson was someone that fans were really excited about, same with Kyler Murray, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is already a celebrity in the Valley. Like, he is not going to be able to go out in public without people wanting to take his picture. And you're talking about a 21, 22-year-old kid. Like, it's a huge deal to people in the Valley that he is going to be on their team. And they are licking their chops waiting for him to announce what his jersey number is going to be, whether it's 42 or, like 18 or 11 or 1 or whatever.
So we'll see. I wanted to get into this because this is such a hot topic of conversation. Before we talk about what jersey number he can wear or should wear or whatever, Marvin Harrison Jr. has not signed his NFLPA license, which would give them the authority to start selling jerseys on his behalf and other memorabilia too. Pat McAfee on his show yesterday being Wednesday, got some inside info that apparently there's a little holdup with Fanatics. I guess Fanatics had approached Marvin Harrison Jr. during his sophomore season at Ohio State, tried to offer him and his camp a lengthy NIL deal that would have reached 2 years into his NFL career. Obviously, the money Marvin Harrison Jr. was worth then and the money Marvin Harrison Jr. is worth now are two different stratospheres, right? I guess there's a little distaste and flavor for Marvin Harrison Jr.'s camp, according to Pat McAfee, whenever it comes to FanSided. We talked to Marvin Harrison Jr. after he landed here in Arizona last Friday. We asked him if he thought he was going to get done. He didn't seem too worried about it. He also didn't seem too worried about the number. He said it is important to him, but there's so many other things on his mind right now, just in terms of trying to get the playbook, trying to get established in Arizona. Doesn't sound like Marv is too worried about it, but obviously fans are clamoring to get their hands on the Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey, and rightfully so, like the points you brought up first. Let's get this out of the way. Number 11. Yes or no?
I lean towards no. Like, I understand the thought process of what the Cowboys do with number 88, and it's an honor to wear that number. But the difference is the history of jersey number 88 goes back to the 70s. And sure, you've had two Hall of Famers that have worn it. Des Bryant, who for me has a argument to get there. He won't get there, but he was just
discussions
so good.
Will be had.
Yeah, and they should be, but at the end of the day, he's probably not a Hall of Famer. But and now CeeDee Lamb is a superstar, but that is over 50 years that you have had that number available for some of the best receivers that the franchise has ever had. 11 does not have that history. 11 was a number from 2004 to 2020, something like that, when Fitz was done. Yeah, 2019, 2020, somewhere in that ballpark. And not only did he carve out a Hall of Fame career, but you have a pretty strong argument that he could be the second best receiver of all time. You can make an argument he's the greatest receiver of all time for some of the accomplishments that he's made. This is very different compared to Drew Pearson, compared to Michael Irvin, how you could combine those two and they still would not be as good as what Larry Fitzgerald was. It's just, it's such a different argument here. And as good as Marvin Harrison Jr. is, and as elite as a prospect, we've called him generational on multiple occasions. I still can't wrap my head around it. I would understand if they did decide to make it a jersey number 88 like what the Cowboys do, but I would disagree, and I would disagree pretty strongly. I think that that's a number that should never be worn again for the Arizona Cardinals.
So I would not have a problem with it. I'd lean towards no, like you. Marvin Harrison Jr., I obviously do not know him personally, but I mean, just listening and reading everything and interacting with him the short time that we did after he got here, it really seems like he wants to honor the past and those that came before him, but also wants to blaze his own trail. And I 100% respect that and 100% agree with that. I think there's a reason he didn't wear his dad's number in college. He couldn't wear his dad's number if he wanted to, whenever it comes to 88 or number 8, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. Excuse me. I would not have a problem if 11 was passed down from Fitz to Marv. I need it to happen organically. We need to stop forcing this. We need to stop making edits with Marv in the number 11 jersey. We need to stop pestering this to happen. If it were to happen, ideally, I would want it to come from Larry. I would want Larry Fitzgerald, who campaigned for the Cardinals to draft this kid, by the way. There's a very mutual respect and admiration from Larry's side, because I think there's a couple parallels between the two entering the league. I would want Larry to be the one where he's like, hey, I want you to wear this.
Right.
That's where it comes in for me. I don't think the organization should make that decision. If Marv were to wear number 11, I would want Larry to be the one that's like, hey, it's not me giving permission. It's, hey, I want you to wear this. I want this number to become something. And I love the Cowboys thing. Very cool. That happened organically. And this needs to happen organically too. So I'll get off my soapbox here.
No, but
it comes to good.
To expand on that point, like we have seen numerous times recently where numbers will be granted permission to come out of retirement. I mean, you had for the Cardinals, like you had
Marshall Goldberg, number 99, where JJ Watt got the blessing from his family to wear it for the 2 years he was here.
Right. Peyton Manning, when he signed with Denver, I can't remember who the player was, but they allowed permission for Peyton to wear number 18 because that was a number that was retired by the Broncos. When Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets, Joe Namath gave permission for Rodgers to wear number 12. He opted to go with number 8, which was his college number. But we've seen several times over like recently that is the way to go about it. And I don't think that should be a decision that the franchise makes. I think that is a decision that needs to be, like you said, organically from that previous player, because like I understand the Cardinals own jersey number 11, but jersey number 11 is Larry Fitzgerald. There's no ifs.
There's a reason that hasn't been worn since he left.
Exactly. And part of that is a respect thing. I don't think that anyone wants to wear number 11 because that is such an honor. There's a reason nobody is wearing number 12 with New England. There's a reason nobody is wearing number 12 with the Packers. There's a reason that certain jersey numbers are just not worn across the league because they are such respected jersey numbers for the legends that came before them. So I do think that if Harrison Jr. is going to get the jersey number 11, I agree with you that I would like to see Larry Fitzgerald give that kind of permission. Like it's just honorable to do. And I think it's the right thing to do. And there are numbers that should be untouchable. Like for the Cardinals, number 40. Nobody should ever wear 40 again because of Pat Tillman. Ever. But a jersey number like 11, I could understand it, I suppose. But I really don't think that should be the case. But if it is, then I want it to come from Larry Fitzgerald and not Michael Bidwell.
Yep. Nope. Not that anybody cares what two white dudes with backwards hats on the podcast says, but that's definitely, that would get the green light from me. Speaking on the retired numbers, 8 and 88. 8 is Larry Wilson, then 8 is JV Kane. Both of those numbers I think would look very, very sick in the new Cardinals uniforms. There's a lot of chatter on social media about 8 being unretired. I think we need to leave it. I think we need to respect what Larry Wilson did. I think we need to, whenever we're in State Farm Stadium, look up and see his name in the team's ring of honor and say, okay, this is his own legacy. Marv can carry out his own legacy. And then, but when you say that, I mean, that just erases all of the 10 to 15 minutes that we just spent on talking about. It would be cool to see Marvin number 11, only if it came from Larry, though. So I'm sure if like Larry Wilson's estate was like, hey, sure, go ahead. 8 would look cool. The other available numbers are 16, 17, 83, and 87. We'll talk about 2 numbers after this, but out of those 4 numbers, 16, 17, 83, and 87, which one would you lean towards? And this is only aesthetic, by the way, like what he would look best in.
I think I'm going to catch you off guard. 17.
I was going to say 17 or 87.
I think 17 would be so clean. Like, it just, first of all, I think 17 is a very underrated jersey number.
Sure.
Like, there's not a lot of guys who can pull it off, in my opinion. But one of the guys who speaks to me very much who wears number 17, and one of the guys that you heard a comparison to when Marvin Harrison Jr. was coming out was Devontae Adams. And Adams rocks number 17. Like, I think it's a hard number to pull off because when you think of wide receivers, what are the numbers you think of? 11, 15, number 1, number 0, 81, 89. Like, there's certain numbers that it's just like, yeah, no, that just feels like a good fit. But 17, it's like, I can't think of a lot of guys who rock number 17. And I'm sure there's guys in the league right now who I'm not thinking of. But 17 would be a great number for Marvin Harrison Jr. to rock. Like,
so I'm gonna throw 3 more numbers at you, and we'll wrap this up. All 3 numbers are currently taken.
Okay.
0, 18,
0 would be amazing,
and 81. All 3 numbers are currently taken on the roster. 0 by Zach Pascal, 18 by BJ Ojulari, and 81 by Travis Volkolek, the one of the backup tight ends.
Okay.
It's going to get hard for BJ to move off of 18. Special number for him, coming from LSU and what that number means to those LSU guys. So I would not blame him for moving off 18. Sorry, for not moving off of it. I would love to see 0 on Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think that would be so amazing.
0 has become such a great number. And like, I know it was only 1 year that we just got number 0 to be introduced to the league, but you've already seen some of like the best players in football that are rocking number 0. And even if they're not some of the best players in football, you can still look at their jerseys and be like, yeah, that's clean. Like, that just looks good.
I think a Harrison Jr. nameplate with like that like block 0.
Oh,
and
my God,
in
dude,
either the white, the red, or the black would just be chef's kiss. And you know what? Zach Pascal seems like a really cool dude too. So it would not surprise me if that happened. And then even 81. And I think 81 would look really good too. There's not a whole lot 81. Of numbers. Yep. There's not a whole lot of numbers that would not look great on the number 4 overall pick. I think that just comes with the territory of the vibe, as the young kids would say. But yeah, I can't fathom that we just spent like 15 minutes talking about a jersey number. So here we are.
I just can't think of any numbers that I wouldn't care for. Like you said, like, don't get me wrong. We're in a day and age where you just don't have a lot of receivers that wear numbers in the 80s anymore. So it's not like back in the day when you had your Steve Smiths and your Anquan Boldens and your Andre Johnsons who looked so good in 80s. And I do think Marv could pull off 80s, but in today's NFL, the best receivers are wearing single digits or they're wearing something in the teens. And that's where I love 17 for Marv. And like 83, I don't care for that. Now,
worst number he could wear. Go. Taken or untaken.
83 doesn't
89
matter.
For me. 89 is such an ugly jersey number for me.
Really?
I don't like it.
There's certain people that I like Mark Andrews rocks number 89.
Sure.
But
He's a tight
I'm
end,
also
though.
a little biased. Yeah, no, but that's exactly it. Is like certain numbers you just associate with positions. 89 at receiver, like Steve Smith.
Yep.
Looks
Okay.
pretty
That's
good
fair.
in 89. But no, there's certain numbers that I just don't think work. I will tell you the worst number I can think of would be 86.
Okay. Yeah.
I could not get on board with 86.
It wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't.
It wouldn't be great.
So it feels like we're gonna find out sooner or later what number he's going to wear, and I think we'll probably do a giveaway whenever that jersey pops up. So be on the lookout for that. Any closing thoughts before we dip?
I don't think so, Donnie. Fun podcast to spend so much time talking about a jersey number, but you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have all sorts of fun conversations to get us through the summer. Now's never been a better time to like, subscribe, follow, and turn on those notifications.
I think you just took the words out of my mouth. So thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the All Cardinals podcast. Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter at Don and Drew, and comment, like, subscribe, what all the cool kids say, and we will see you guys next time.